Okay, let's just dive straight into this explainer. Today, we're kind of playing the role of architects. We are tearing down the literal blueprint behind those highly engaging, completely viral finance discussions you see everywhere. You know the ones. We aren't just looking at like a random list of money tips here. No, we are hacking the formula of virality itself. We're going to analyze the exact structural framework, the actual creator's brief that gets used to engineer these high retention conversations about wealth. Basically, we're deconstructing the master plan to see exactly how these massive, complex financial concepts get packaged up, structured, and delivered to just entirely captivate an audience. But before we get into the nuts and bolts of all that, let's actually look at what this blueprint is trying to build. The core deliverable? It's what they call a premium podcast-style discussion. And this is engineered specifically for a YouTube finance channel called Rich Lab. It relies entirely on this natural, super engaging back and forth between two distinct personalities, host A and host B. The whole name of the game here is high retention, right? It has to sound completely human. It needs to seamlessly draw you, the listener, into a deep dive on money without ever feeling like you're sitting through some stiff, boring college lecture. So here's our roadmap for this breakdown. We're going to cover the master blueprint, how to hook the audience, the core pillars of wealth, cinematic execution, and we'll wrap it all up with the ultimate payoff. Let's kick things off with Section 1, the master blueprint. The document actually demands a really strict chronological flow. It creates this framework of pure curiosity right from the jump. You can't just, turn on the mic and start rambling. You absolutely must follow 3 sequential steps. Step 1. You hit them with a powerful hook. You've got to earn the viewer's time literally in the first few seconds. Step 2, you launch straight into a dynamic conversation. It has to be detailed, complete, and just deeply engaging. And finally, step 3, you have to deliver a memorable conclusion. Every single piece of successful content built under this blueprint rests securely on those 3 pillars. Moving right along to Section 2, hooking the audience. Look, nobody wants to listen to a robot reading a spreadsheet, right? It's the worst. So the blueprint explicitly forbids any of that repetitive, filler-heavy dialogue. It demands a completely human, conversational American English tone. The mandate is incredibly direct about what to avoid here. The dialogue absolutely cannot sound like an AI just scanning a Wikipedia page. Instead, it's got to be dynamic, it's got to be natural. It really has to feel exactly like 2 friends passionately debating wealth over a cup of coffee. That authentic, unshakable human element, that is precisely how you create an instant hook.
And it's funny because constraints actually breed creativity. To maintain that perfect illusion of a natural flow, the document strips away all those behind-the-scenes structural crutches. I mean, they're really strict formatting constraints for the writers here. No stage directions, no timestamps, and absolutely no scene descriptions. 0. The moment you introduce those elements, the final product starts to feel disjointed and heavily scripted. By just totally removing them, the hosts are forced to actually listen to each other, weave their transitions seamlessly into the spoken dialogue, and keep the listener completely immersed in the moment.
All right, Section 3, Pillars of Wealth. The core theme driving all of this is rich versus poor. But let me be clear, it goes way beyond checking account balances. This is an entire psychological teardown. The required topics force a really deep dive into the very mindset of wealth building. We're talking about daily habits, the psychology of money, investing, discipline, productivity, and the actual mechanics of long-term success. It's a remarkably holistic approach, honestly. The explainer is required to fully explore how the wealthy think and act fundamentally differently from the poor. It takes abstract financial concepts and turns them into these deeply behavioral, totally relatable lessons. Which brings us to Section 4, Cinematic Execution. The aesthetic demanded here is high-end. It is all about crafting an educational experience that feels like a premium documentary. The creator's brief literally uses the words professional, educational, cinematic, and highly engaging. So it's not nearly enough to just be factually accurate. You have to weave a compelling story. The mandate is to use storytelling techniques to create this sort of gravitational pull, making sure the audience remains hooked until the very last second. Delivering financial advice under this blueprint literally has to be as gripping as watching a great movie. To give you an idea of this scale, the blueprint explicitly names heavyweights like Lux, Magnets Media, and James Janney. That sets an incredibly high bar for production value. If you follow those channels, you know they don't just sit there and share basic money tips. They build atmospheric, highly visual narratives. Rich Lab has to match that exact gravitas. The conversation between host A and host B must emulate the pacing, the depth, and the high retention style that these absolute titans of the industry are famous for. And to achieve that, every single action has a highly calculated result. Asking a question isn't just for show, it's engineered to spark curiosity. Sharing insights isn't just, talking, it delivers tangible, actionable lessons you can actually use. Smooth transitions and real-life scenarios are carefully deployed to maintain a really dynamic pacing. Every single word spoken by the hosts is basically a tactical maneuver designed to achieve one main thing: keeping the audience totally locked in while providing immense value.
Finally, we reach Section 5, the ultimate payoff. This is the climax of the whole blueprint. You can never, ever just stop the recording abruptly. After guiding the audience through the rich versus poor mindset, those daily habits, and the cinematic storytelling, the blueprint demands a masterful conclusion. You have to synthesize the actionable lessons so the viewer walks away feeling empowered. Then you seamlessly leverage that delivered value, tapping right into viewer psychology to trigger a powerful call to action. Basically, you take that passive listener who has just received a ton of value and you turn them into a dedicated subscriber of RichLab.
So, I'll leave you with a final thought today. Having explored the exact formula used to captivate millions in this explainer, how will you apply this financial blueprint to your own life? We've unpacked the hidden structure, the conversational psychology, the cinematic pacing, and the wealth-building pillars that power top-tier finance channels. But listen, the real magic isn't just in creating a great show. It's in actually applying these habits, disciplines, and money mindsets to your own reality. So think about your personal financial architecture for a second. What habits do you need to tear down, and what wealth-building pillars do you need to start constructing today?